going into my basketball. Every time I rock, man, this is how we rap and raw. Peace to my man, now we got the camera out. Every time I spit it, cross over the...
Alright, hello everyone, this is Josh, also known as Yashu, and you're tuning into episode 57 of the TLOY Talks podcast. You know, as mentioned, you can get it like on all platforms, Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, much more. But, you know, we're going to get it started right here and all that, you know? So he's back and better than ever and all that. We had him on the platform just like last year and all that. And like now, like at this time around, he just dropped his latest EP. It's all a blur, and has been doing like shows ever since and getting like a lot of like fame and notoriety is noticed, you know? We have SoaRes back on the pod. How are you doing today, man?
Good, man. Good. And yo, I'm glad to be back on this podcast. The first one that we had, it was amazing.
Yeah, man. Like,
you know, so I'm glad that, you know, I'm back in this podcast and it's a new spot. This is new from what I first seen.
Yeah, man. Like my first time, like actually kind of showing my face, you know, to your fans and viewers right now. I mean, they've seen me before and all that, but just like more so in the light with you and me and all that. So, you know, it's good to get it on and all that, you know. And I know that you just dropped like your latest EP and all that. It's all like a blur and all that. And, you know, I wanted to figure out the inspiration and creative process for that EP.
Honestly, you know what? When I first decided to create this EP, I didn't have a plan on doing it this year, right? But considering the way that things have gone so far for me in my career, I think that I had a pretty solid fan base right now to release something like a project like that. Because I had a lot of people, a lot of my supporters tell me every time, like, yo, you drop single after single every time. Why not drop a project? So, you know, I came out right away and I'm just like, you know what, I'm going to start the EP, probably do a 5-song EP, something short. You know, nothing crazy, because I feel like if I drop an album right now with not the biggest fan base, it wouldn't make any sense. You know what I mean? So starting off small and releasing this EP, honestly, the inspiration of it's like I dealt with a lot of relationship issues, heartbreak, and all that stuff. And that's basically what this EP really is. You know what I'm saying? From top to bottom. You can hear it. And if you listen from song 1 to song 5, whatever, you can literally hear exactly how I'm expressing. You know what I mean? I got a story that I'm like talking about from start to finish.
Yeah, no, 100% too. And I kind of like, you know, like even like with the styling of the EP and all that to make it more like relationship based and all that. And you've had like other songs too with your past single with Tasha Austin. You know, they weren't like also on the EP as well too. So when having like those previous singles, like why weren't they like more so like on the EP?
You know what? I just wanted to have something fresh. You know what I mean? Like I guess it would make sense if I put my recent single like Get Down with Xavier and I put it into the EP, but the way I had this EP planned out, I felt like that single would even make sense if like be in there. You know what I mean? So I wanted something fresh and I wanted something that people had never heard of yet. So this is quite of a surprise, I guess, for my supporters. You know what I mean? I don't really see artists that do that. They will usually put their singles, recent singles into their project. You know what I mean? So I wanted to make it a little different.
Yeah, man. And from what I've noticed too, like, you know, the EP title also has like the same name as like Drake's tour name, like It's All a Blur tour and all that. So was it sort of like a coincidence, like when like it was like released, like even during that time when the tour happened?
You know what? I keep getting asked this question every time, and I'm like, literally, this is like the proper time for me to speak on it. I've been very quiet about it, but when I first started working on this project, I didn't even think about Drake's tour or his next album or single, whatever. I didn't even like check out any of that stuff. So in the mix of creating this project, I didn't really tell that his tour was called It's All a Blur. Now, if you think about it, his tour is called It's All a Blur Tour, right? So that's all mixed in together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's not like he dropped an album with that name. He didn't drop a single with that name and stuff like that. And I keep telling these people that every time. And it's not the first time that artists have the same song titles, have the same EP titles, album titles. It goes on. You know what I'm saying? The history repeats itself. So it's like, it's not the first time this thing's happened. You know what I mean? And all due to respect to Drake, you know what I'm saying? I got a lot of respect for the boy. And I just didn't really realize that his tour name was It's All a Blur. Yeah. So in the mix of me doing this, I was not going to change up the name. I kept to it, and I have a reason as to why I named it. Yeah. You know what I mean? So again, if you heard the songs from top to bottom, that just says it all. You know, that explains as much as I could explain right here. You know what I mean?
No, 100% too and all that. And, you know, like when it first like dropped and all that, like what was like the reception like and all that? Were like many people like really like tuning in into and all that? Or like did he like even like, gain like new like listeners from it, like from that experience?
Yeah, you know what? I gained a lot of attraction, more so than my actual singles. You know what I mean? Like I've attracted new followers, I've attracted new fans from worldwide, not even just Canada. You know what I mean?
Oh,
So
true.
it's actually it was a great look when you look at Spotify for artists and you just see a lot of people already tapped in the day of the release. It just it's a good feeling. You know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
just hope that everybody really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
Honestly.
no, 100% too. And how has like life been since like the last interview and all that? Like I know like it has like gained like traction from there, but like you've managed to do like a lot, like doing shows and all that, doing like features, working on like certain songs and all that, like even with music videos with like Cruise and with Meske, like with the music videos and all that. And I guess like how's it been like so far, like in that sense? And did it like change for you in terms of your experience and way of life?
You know what? I've grown a lot as an artist. I'm not gonna lie. I've grown a lot as an artist, and in terms of shooting music videos with Cruz and Mez, they're just my guys. You know what I mean? They're my team, and when you have a specific team, you don't feel like switching on them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's cool that you can network with other guys and you're working with them and stuff like that. And you know what? For all I know, that I could be working with some other people down the road. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
these are my guys from now. You know what I mean? I'm gonna
Yeah.
stick with them. From what I've been doing since the beginning. So, yo, honestly, I've grown a lot as in this industry, and I've learned a lot about the business. I've learned a lot about like features and stuff like that, and how I should work my way around it and stuff like that. So, in terms of like networking, that's what I like to do, right? And the more that I network, the better, and the more that I grow in this
Yeah.
industry. You know what I mean?
Uh,
So, yeah, it's been going pretty good.
Yeah, man.
Honestly.
And I think what's interesting too is that like I was like seeing some of the posts like on IG as well too, and like a lot of streamers are like really like tuning in. Especially, I think there's like this female streamer that had like a high following that was like playing some of your songs and all that. So
Mm.
how did you even like manage to even get that experience so far? And what was it like for you having music played outside of this whole like music realm and all that, so to like a different audience that aren't really like keen into music as much?
No, it was a good feeling, honestly. Like I didn't even know she was playing that on the until somebody sent me that video. It was actually one of my friends, and I'm sure that he probably promoted it for me and stuff. And he's like, "Yo, check out this EP and whatever. Check out one of the songs." And I had that video sent to me, and when I seen it, like, yo, it's a good feeling, honestly. Like especially if they're a big streamer, like any big streamer that you see out there, like Kai Cenat or whoever, and
Yeah.
you hear them listening to your music, like, yo, of course anybody's
Yeah.
gonna feel good about it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it was a good feeling, and you know what? Shout out to them for even streaming it. Honestly,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
100% too, and like to kind of like add that in, just like in general and all that. Like usually, even having your music played on like a huge level and all that can like really make wonders. Like
Yeah.
especially if it's either like pay to play and all that, or if they just like genuinely like love the song and all that. Like I remembered, I think No Jumper back then. They've asked people like we could like stream your song like on our platform, like either from SoundCloud or from Spotify and all that, and had to pay like a certain fee, but like it kind of works for like a lot of artists that were involved in all that. Like Jaleel like had that effect too. This guy named Dutch Revs from Toronto, he also like had like that little like famous one too. So
Hmm.
usually it kind of like works when you tap in with like certain platforms and all that, or if it's like they just tune in, just kind of works out from there and all that.
Yeah, it does. No, honestly, like just any recognition in general,
Yeah,
really, that's all you need. Honestly,
yeah,
especially if you're an upcoming artist, rapper, singer, whatever you are,
yeah,
like that's a lot. You know what I mean? And the more recognition you get, the better it is.
yeah,
You know what I
man.
mean? So whether they hate you, love you, like yo,
Yeah.
they're streaming it in the end of the day.
Yeah,
You know what
no,
I mean?
crazy
So
fact too. It's like even like you could have like your own merch if you're like a clothing designer. You could like send it to them, and like they could actually like review the clothing as well too. Like for some like platforms that focus more on fashion too, but like even with music, as you said, you could pay to play, or you could like just show them like the link, and if they play it, they play it. It's a good op.
exactly,
Exactly, man.
No, for sure.
And to add on more, how do you even feel about streamers and content creators like being more bigger influences than like most like rappers and artists nowadays?
Yo, it's crazy. You know what? Streamers are rappers nowadays. I'm not gonna hold you. Like streamers are literally rappers. Like if you can name any streamer that you watch or Kai Cenat, he's done a song and Elite Choppa,
Yeah.
right? Any other mainstream streamers out there, I wouldn't say Aiden Ross, right? He's not really a rapper, but these guys act like they're rappers. They make a
Yeah.
lot of money, just as probably not as much as a rapper, or they probably do make more. I don't know exactly how much they get paid, but these guys are rappers. Like, let's be honest. Like, they're streamers, but they're rappers in the inside. Like, they dress like them. They do everything. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I was like reading a tweet from Sneeko just like a while back, and
exactly,
he literally had that same tweet.
Exactly.
Neon was like also there too, and you know it's crazy. Every kid like maybe from ages like 5 to like 15 know who Neon, Sneeko, Aiden Ross, Kai Cenat, Phantom, Duke Dennis, like they all know them, but like they're not gonna know like the latest like rapper nowadays, like you know like Moneybagg Yo or like YG. Like some will know like a little bit more, but like not as much and all that. So
yeah. You know what? I think I wouldn't say that streamers have an easy way on gaining more of an audience than a rapper, right? But what I could say is they're entertaining. You know what I mean? Like whether they're playing video games, whether they're doing some stupid shit online and stuff, it's always gonna catch some kids' attention.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they just become fans and they keep watching them daily, especially they stream every day. As for a rapper, it's like, you know, you wait until he drops the next single, probably in a month or two, or like took a little break for a year and stuff like that. So I feel like a rapper or an artist in general, I think it's a lot harder to gain that audience that you're really trying to attract than a streamer really can.
Yeah.
It's still hard for them regardless, but they have so much more that they can do than a rapper really does. You know what I mean? All we do is the music and all that stuff, but that's the way I see it.
Yeah, man, Hundo P, like 100% too, you know, and, you know, getting back on to, like, what's going on with you, you know, you went viral, like, a while back, you know, freestyling, like, Lil Wayne's, like, a million, all that, like, I actually wanted to know more about the backstory of it, and I was, like, just, like, watching that random video, and then it was, like, posted by, like, a Toronto page, and did his music, like, influence you, like, in some way in that sense?
Yo, honestly, what was the song name that you just said? A Millie?
Yeah.
Something like that. That wasn't even the song. It was that he was a feature on that Jay Sean song. I think
Down
it was
or something
Down.
like that?
Yeah. So that was the song name of it, and it was just recorded like at some party. I was just literally drunk, and they played it in the background, and I knew Lil Wayne's lyrics bar for bar. So I guess when somebody recorded it, I just put it in my story, and I had like gained attraction from these blog pages and decided to post it. But I mean, like, yo, Lil Wayne, I grew up listening to him. You know what I mean? Shout out to him. He's an OG in this game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So shout out to Lil Wayne for real.
Yeah.
I grew up listening to that guy, and of course, I'm just gonna be influenced by him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. Was this, like, prior to you starting music, or was this, like, just, like, more so, like, a while back and all that?
I would say more so a while back, like as
true.
a kid, honestly. Like when I was a kid, I'm just listening to any artist who came out at the time. You know what I mean?
True.
Justin Bieber, Lil Wayne, like Chris Brown, all these guys. You know what I mean? So
True. What would your like top 5 like Wayne songs be like actually for you?
Wayne songs?
Yeah.
I can even remember them now. Lollipop would probably be one of them.
True.
Ameli's definitely a good one too. Fireman. Like if only I could remember a few more. That's all I can remember right now, honestly.
Yeah, for me, like I've like listened to like Wayne from like top down to like bottom and all that, and for me I'd say Hustle Music, like that's like one of my favorite songs of all time. Money on My Mind, his song with T-Pain, I think it's like with the music video like that they were like doing like a bank robbery and all that.
Right.
I have to find the name of that song. This song called I think Sunshine by like him and Jazzy Faye and all that. That was like from the Carter One and all that. Like that was like one of the most like relaxing songs like I've ever like listened to. And I'd say, you know, it's like a little bit of my fan favorite for me. 6 foot, 7 foot, and all that. Like I think just like the music video and just like the lyricism and all that, it's like too crazy and all that.
Right. Nah, I agree with you, man. And you know what? Let me ask you something. I'm gonna interview you today. So let me ask you something. You brought up T-Pain. So T-Pain at the time, he had a lot of auto-tune. What are your thoughts on auto-tune on music nowadays?
Honestly, for me, I feel like auto-tune works accordingly. Like if you have like the perfect like voice for it, like if it like hits accordingly to and all that. Like I know with T-Pain, like it actually gives like an interesting like melody and style and all that. Like when Future started to do it, like you could also notice it was like very rough and all that. Like if you listen to this turn on the lights and all that, like that was like one of the most like roughest like styles like he had at that time. And then he started to improve and like find his like own sound for like Codeine Crazy and all that, and for like his mixtapes and all that. And it works with like a lot of people too. Like I know like 808s and Heartbreaks by Kanye, like he used like a lot of like auto tune at that time, and it kind of made it very interesting and like vibrant at that time. And it depends on how you work and all that. Like if you have like no experience, you know, like playing with your vocals, like whether you're doing like
Mm-hmm.
or do 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 do, like it depends, you know, like if it gets like kind of rough and all that, then you know, sometimes too you have to figure out like how you could like balance it. How do you like balance the EQ with the filter and all that? For some artists that actually do have that unique like style, or like they could like sing at like higher notes and all that, or like they could like at least sing like sort of well, then it should work like depending on the circumstance and all that.
Yeah, it's like if you know how to use it, you use it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I know there's plenty of artists out there who overuse it. But I mean, yo, in the end of the day, if it sounds good and you know how to use it, people are gonna listen to it regardless,
Yeah.
right? I just want your thoughts on it, honestly, because I
Yeah.
see a lot of people complaining about it nowadays and here and
Yeah.
there. But
I
you
think
know,
like with some people too, like I could like give like one example for someone who tries to like balance it like kind of well and all that, like Mez and all that. Like, you know,
yeah,
usually when I first heard her music, I thought like it would actually be like very clean vocals, but like it was like auto tune and all that. But she actually managed it to kind of do it like very perfectly, like in that
yeah,
sense to kind of make it to her style and all that. And it pretty much depends on like how you like play with it. Like if you've experienced like singing a lot and all that, like it works 100% too.
yeah,
Like for some people, like it's not gonna work right away. Like usually, like if you want to improve your vocals, like get a vocal coach and all that. Like a vocal coach can help you throughout the way in guiding you to the right sound, to knowing the right pitches, to knowing like what type of sound you are. Like for people who are baritone, you know, they'll usually go like very low and all that. Like
yeah, hundred
Friday and
percent.
all that. Friday, that R&B singer, like Who Did God Did,
Mm-hmm.
it works for him. For
Mm-hmm.
people who are altos, they try to do it more of a pitch like Drake and all that, or Kanye. For people who are, I think, soprano, they just kind of hit that high voice like Doja Cat or like Pink Panthers and all that. So it all depends on like how your range is and like how you work on it accordingly, how you train with your vocal coach and all that. So
100%. No,
yeah,
100%. I agree with you there. Real
yeah,
talk.
man. And you know, how's it like performing at bigger events nowadays? Like I remembered, I think one of the most like well-known performances he did was at the We Love Hip Hop showcase at Bar
Mm-hmm.
Cathedral and all that. And you know, how's it like? You know, like even tapping in with like brands like that and with other brands and personalities.
Yeah, no, shout out to We Love Hip Hop Friday and them. You know what I mean? I had that opportunity to perform at that show, and I would probably say it was probably one of my best performances that I had. I've had so many performances that I've performed at a bar or a little venue here and there, and most times like I just get screwed over. You know, depending who the promoter is and this and that, like I usually get screwed over, and I just took a little break on performing for a while after that time, and I just had to focus more on my music and get it out there and release more and stuff. And then when the right time came for a performance, then I would perform. And that was the right time to perform, right? When they hit me up to perform at We Love Hip Hop's sponsored event. And yo, shout out to Friday. I met him that night. Cool guy. You know what I mean? And yo, I just hope to get bigger shows down the road. You know what I mean? I've had opportunities to open up for big artists and stuff like that. But again, I guess it's just not the right time just yet, right?
Yeah, no, 100% too. And I think it just kind of depends on the people too, because, you know, from what I found out from like the past two, there was like a lot of like promoters or like managers that kind of do like Grammy things and all that to certain artists to not get their cut and all that. And
Mm.
I feel like, you know, if you understand artists, like everyone wants to get paid and all that, from the DJ to the dancers to everything else
Oh,
too.
yeah,
And like,
100%.
I feel like it has to kind of work right depending on your setup too. And
Right.
like usually with payment issues too, like I know that like sometimes too they have like a whole like ticket setup, and if they have like maybe 10 to 15 artists, you know, whoever sells like the most tickets, like that's like their back end for the night and all that.
Exactly.
Do you
Yeah.
feel like it's kind of like maybe one of like a rough practice to kind of do that, or do you feel like there should be a budget to set like payments like equally for like all artists and all that?
Honestly, I think I don't even know how to word this, but um, I think it depends on the level that that artist is really in right now. If you're really an underground artist and you're just still in the come up and nobody's really heard of you and stuff, in terms of them paying you, I don't really think that they should get paid. In the end of the day, it's like you're trying to get recognition, you're trying to get uh a audience to listen to your music, a new audience, right? And you're gonna be in front of thousands of people, hundreds of people, and stuff like that. And you want to have that opportunity to perform. So I don't think it's more so like, yeah, you got to pay me in order to perform because you're not at that level, right? You don't have that name out for yourself just yet. Now, in terms of a artist who is mid or even in the top tier, then I would say top tier is where, they deserve to get paid. You know what I mean? They deserve to get an equal pay and to perform for however long that their set time was supposed to be at. And same goes for the mid tier artists. You know what I'm saying? Maybe not as high as the top guys, but at least like some reasonable. You know what I mean? Some fair. And it's just like, okay, you know what? I get my cut, you get your cut, everybody gets paid. Turns out to be a good show, and that's just how it goes. You know what I mean? When I first came up, I never really got paid for any shows. I just went out there, try to get my audience. You know what I mean? So
And it also depends on like who you work with. Well, like I remembered, I think you were opening up for Cruz and Mez, like just like last year at Lula. Like I felt like having friends and having people around you like host the show or do their own thing, it works better than like a third party who might not know you as much or who might not know you at all, and like they don't know like the intentions of how they'll work with the artist and how they'll set up the show and all that. So usually for this question too, do you feel like is it important to establish like friendships and business like relationships in the industry, or do you feel like it's like a different like setup nowadays and all that?
I think that you shouldn't mix business and friendships together. Honestly, I think like, I'm good friends with Cruz and Mez, but when it comes to business, it's business. You know what I mean? When it comes to certain prices, to certain things, like you just have to go with it. You know what I mean? You gotta go with what their prices are at, and you gotta just work on the business side. You know what I mean? So I never like to mix friendship with business because I guess it would ruin the friendship and the business. You know what I mean? It would ruin both things, and you gotta really have to. You're gonna have to learn how to split both. You know what I mean? So split when you're in business, and when you're chilling with your friends and you're just chilling around, whatever, kicking it, then that's a different story. But when in terms of just business, you gotta focus on that business. You know what I mean? It's a different story.
Yeah, no,
You know?
100% too, man. And, we're just getting on to this other part right now, more so within hip hop and with everything else too nowadays. So, since Drake dropped For All the Dogs and all that, like, it's been big for him because of, like, Adonis getting into music and the references, like, in the songs and all that. And I want to get your opinion on the project. Do you feel like it's his best project yet, or?
No, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't say it's his best project. Again, shout out to Drake, but I wouldn't say it's his best project. I would definitely say it's mid. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't say every song was terrible. You know what I mean? But I did like a few songs in that album, and I just feel like it was rushed. You know what I mean? I just think that album was a little rushed. He was on tour, probably just hit a few different studios and just rushed a few songs, and it just came out the way it did. But again, at the end of the day, he's getting his streams. People are still gonna listen to him, talk about him, and stuff like that. So again, shout out to him for what he's doing.
Yeah.
Honestly, maybe it's not my, favorite album, but again, like I would say it's mid. You know what I mean? So shout out to Drizzy though.
Yeah, man. From what I've noticed, I haven't like really taken into like a full account of that project, but I know it is like sort of interesting from what I've noticed. Like I noticed first person shooter with J. Cole, like that was like also their IDGF with Yeet, like with the whole like Shadow and Daylight reference, like that was like pretty interesting as well too.
That right there, that J. Cole and Drake song, crazy. I think those two. Yo, if he ever watches this podcast, Drizzy, drop an album with J. Cole, man. That collab album will go crazy. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, man.
That's all I gotta say.
I remember like people were even like talking about it for a bit too, that this isn't Drake's mature project, because he's like nearly in his 40s, still rapping like a kid and all that too. And there were like old heads like even like talking about it on the Breakfast Club, Joe Budden. And I remembered, I think there was like also this idea too from Hello Yassine from YouTube, how usually you try your best to be young and refresh within that memory in order to kind of be like in music right now. When you're kind of making mature music, you're only going for a mature artist and audience and all that. And do you ever feel like artists should like mature within their music in order to keep up with the fan base, or do you feel like trying to mix it like all together like kind of works better?
No, I think mixing it really works better. I think what Drake's doing is the right thing, honestly. Because obviously you want to be in that mature level and you want to gain that. That adults that has been rocking with your music for years and stuff like that. But you also want to gain attention and attraction from the youngins, the young people, the young audience who are listening to you and have been watching you for like years now. You know what I mean? It's good to mix up both of them. You can't just like, again, what Joe Budden said, like, I disagree with what he said. You know what I mean? So again, I'm not gonna get in the mix of that because that's not my place to be speaking. Exactly, my place to be speaking on. But again, like I think what he's doing right now is perfect. Like mixing both. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're gaining a younger audience and you're gaining your OG fans. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like you're still having them around regardless.
Yeah,
So
man. And like, usually right now we're in hip hop 50 right now. We're celebrating like 50 years in hip hop and all that. And there's still like discussions about it to this day due to like low album sales and all that, and honoring like the OGs and all that type of stuff too. And like, in your opinion, do you feel like it's dead right now, or is it getting better than ever with like these new sounds and creations going on right now?
no, it's dead. It's dead. I'm not gonna lie. It's hip hop has not been the same for a couple of years now. Like they've been having struggles of getting a number one hit for like what was it, a year now? Like something like that. Like hip hop hasn't just been the same. But again, like, shout out to every new artist who's coming out there, like Sexy Red and Ice Spice and all these guys, you know what I mean? Like they're doing their thing. But again, just in terms of getting hits nowadays, it's I feel like they just do songs to get that that rush. You know what I mean? Just to have that little good week of just what went on for like that one day and that's about it. You know what I mean? But like I think they do it more so for TikTok. The way I see it is like they do stuff to trend on TikTok and not actually make it on number one hits on like billboards and stuff like that. So I think that hip hop just hasn't been the same, honestly. But again, anything can change. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
hip hop can just come back to the way it was. Maybe things can change. Maybe we're gonna just decide to listen to R&B nowadays. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
music changes every year. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So
Yeah, no,
again,
100% too. And I know like Afrobeats is like more popular like
mm-hmm.
nowadays too. Country music surprisingly is sort of
Yeah.
famous because of like Morgan Wallen and that Oliver Anthony guy
Mm-hmm.
and all that, and like I think Luke Bryan as well too with like Fast Car, and then also reggaeton and all that with like Peso Pluma and Maluma and all those other people too and all that. And I feel like it's going to a direction where we want to make it like palatable for like everybody and all that too. And I do feel like there's some people that are bringing that essence back in hip hop. Like I think Tizo Touchdown, who's doing like unique wonders for his music, Griselda and all that, and like even like some like lyrical artists too and all that. So it kind of depends on where that time should be and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, no, I think Latin music's actually killing it right now.
Yeah.
Latin, Afro beats, like they're all killing it right now. I don't think like everybody's just been getting so bored of like how rap's been going on nowadays that they just decide they rather listen to R&B and like rock music or country, like you said. Like, yo, there's other music out there other than rap. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And people are just taking it in now. Like they're just rather listening to it now. And again, I've had total respect for all those artists and that type of genres doing their thing, and I'm glad that people are actually taking their time to listen to it now. Maybe it's because like they got no choice, but
Yeah.
again, they're probably liking it. You know what I mean?
no.
For all I know, like
Yeah, not for sure. And I know like nowadays too with social media too, it is like a very like interesting time too as well on how content is like formulated and all that.
yeah.
But do you feel like social media ruined the aspect of like hip hop or like music and the influence slash respect of an artist in general, or do you feel like it benefits them more like in that sense?
Uh that's a tough question. Um, I wouldn't say it ruined it as much, right? I could say it's benefiting them a lot more because they get to just create different types of content every day. You know what I mean, you're posting something about like either your song or a bar on your song or whatever it is, and you're posting content out there. People are just gonna get attracted to it, right? It's gonna gain attraction, and you're gonna probably go viral from it. So
Yeah,
again, like it's gaining streams, it's gaining views. You know what I mean? I wouldn't even call it like clout chasing in any way
yeah,
unless it is. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like I just think that social media really benefits artists or content creators in that matter, than actually bringing it down.
yeah.
Like honestly, like maybe,
It kind of depends on like the content on how like people post and all that too.
yeah,
Like if you post
exactly,
like the negative, then you're going to receive the negative. But
exactly,
if you do
yeah,
tend to post like more positive stuff and all that, I mean, Jason Derulo was like one example throughout that time, like during the pandemic and everything else too. Like he was always posting, regular stuff and all that, like on TikTok that no one noticed like the bad stuff about him and all that. Like Will Smith at like one point during the pandemic, he was like collaborating with like Jason Derulo at one point. It all worked well for him. People like liked him at one point until the whole like Oscar situation and all that. And it just kind of depends on the situation. Like it kind of depends. Like, hey, if we see you at a light where it's like very negative, then we're only gonna have like that negative image. But if it's like only positive, like people can forget about the negative, like in that sense and all that.
yeah, no, exactly. But if they're doing it on purpose, negative content. They're doing it on purpose and they just have it out there. Like at the end of the day, the way I see it is negative content seems to get more traction than the positive nowadays. Unfortunately, but that's the truth. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
man.
So,
100% too.
yeah,
And
it's just like both. I guess it's a good and bad thing, right?
yeah,
But-
man. And I remembered, I think one day you were like talking more about TikTok and all that on like, music, like, if you like my music, like definitely type it in. Like if you like don't like it, like there's like no other choice. You can just like scroll down and all that too. And I feel like with some people too, like they have like an interesting aspect on like what they talk about like within music too. And do you feel like finding a way to make your music go viral on TikTok is a fair, creative, effective like marketing strategy proposal for artists to use, or does it like diminish like the artistry and all that?
No, TikTok's a great platform. I think like a lot more artists should be using it more than Instagram itself. You know what I mean? Like the more ads that you run on TikTok, it creates more traction than you running ads on Instagram or YouTube. You know what I mean? Honestly, like maybe YouTube ads were like a big thing back then, but nowadays this platform just came in and just freaking just wipes the both of them. You know what I mean? So the more that you use it and the more that you use it properly and promote it the right way, then again, like yo, your song can go viral in a matter of like a couple of days, maybe the night. Like,
Yeah.
so I would suggest like definitely a lot of artists who are listening to this right now use TikTok a lot more.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to use it a lot more myself.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So
I want to also ask, did it like work for you like with some tracks that you've had before when you posted?
I would say probably one of my songs for my EP right now, My Mind. I released this little clip video of me singing just a chorus and stuff like that on TikTok. Ran a little ad on it and it gained attraction. You know what I mean? Gained some views, and maybe I just didn't run it as long. But again, like if I just continue running them ads, I would gain that traction. Maybe go viral for all I know. You know what I mean? So again, it all depends if people really rock with it. Again, you're gonna have people who like your music and you're gonna have people who don't. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
if they do, shout out to them. If they don't, kick rocks. Like it is what it is.
Yeah,
you know what I
man.
mean?
And
But-
I think like if it works well, like it does work well. And like I know like a lot of people too, like they gain like more fan bases from it too and all that. And like more recognition, like more media pages like tend to post more.
Yeah.
And you gain like a following and all that. Like some person from Thornhill that you've probably never met before is like tuning into your track right now and
exactly.
just kind of makes like a new fan like in that sense too. So
Exactly. You know, especially when I promote on TikTok or Instagram, I don't tend to just promote in the city in Canada and stuff like that. Like, cool. It would be cool if the city knows who I am and stuff like that and they stream my music. But my goal is to market worldwide, like globally, Europe, South America, Africa, like you name it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to get my music heard worldwide, not just the city. You know what I mean? Because again, if the city knows you and they fuck with you or they hate you, whatever it is, you go elsewhere, they're not gonna know who you are, and it's like you're gonna start from day one again. It's like now you're gonna try your best to try to get your name out there, and even if you promote it in those type of countries, again, you go to those countries, maybe a few people will know who you are, but it won't be like starting from scratch. You're like, yo, okay, now I gotta actually start again, try to promote in this certain area and this and that, and try to gain an audience there. So I guess if you promote it the right way, globally, then it'll work for you. You know what I'm saying? I'm still learning myself. You know what I mean? So shout out to the people who do listen to my music though, for real.
yeah, man. And especially for Toronto right now, I feel like the only way that you can make it right now, like that's how like most people view it nowadays, is if you like rap about like being from the streets and all that, like getting into drills and all this type of stuff like that. And it has worked well for the majority of a lot of like Toronto rappers and all that too. But like there are other people that never like live that lifestyle that they do get respected, but not in the sense where this is like a Toronto rapper and all that. And do you ever feel that there's like a stigma for like even like for female and like non-street related like Toronto artists to be recognized and taken seriously as opposed to Toronto street artists? And what can we do to remove that stigma and shed more light on them?
I've been asked this question before, and like it was tough to answer it, but the way I can answer it right now is I think drill is a trend right now. Drill music's just a trend. You know what I'm saying? People are doing it in New York, people are doing it in Toronto now. And again, shout out to the people who are doing it. It's a trend right now, you know what I'm saying? And whatever's trending, people love to hop on that trend and go with the flow, you know what I'm saying, and follow it. For me personally, I don't do drill music. I'm not about none of that life. You know what I'm saying? So in terms of you bringing up artists who don't rap about the street life or don't rap about politics and stuff like that, I'd still think that these type of artists, which I'm gonna include myself into it because I'm one of those artists, I think we deserve more recognition, probably same recognition as those guys are probably getting. Maybe they're getting more recognition because of the stuff they're rapping about. You know what I'm saying? And it is what it is. Again, like back to what I was saying, it's a trend. You know what I mean? But I think that any female singers out there, melodic artists or Afro artists and stuff like that, I feel like these guys deserve to get more light shine onto them. Honestly, because there's talented artists out there. I met so many artists, talented artists out there, females, males. Like I met so many of them, and they just don't have that recognition as they probably deserve. But again, like music can change any year. You know what I'm saying? Every year music changes, and who knows? Maybe one time, like those artists who hasn't been recognized, maybe next year we'll get that spotlight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like again, music just changes every time. As of right now, drill music's the trend, and it is what it is. For the artists who are not doing drill music and stuff like that, yo, just keep doing what you're doing. At the end of the day, you got your audience and you're doing it for them. You know what I mean? So that's all that matters. You don't have to follow no trends. Just do it for your people. That's why they listen to you, because they fuck with you and they fuck with your music. And that's the only people you got to focus on.
Yeah.
Who cares about the trend and what's going on in the world? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just the way I see it. You know what I mean?
100% too. And I think it was like that at one point too, like, you know, between 2015 to 2018. And this is like when, you know, like Ram Riddles was like kind of making, and also too like Safe and like Jimmy Prime and like Smoke Dogg and all that. And like even that whole Toronto like R&B style, like a lot of people were like kind of making it from there. And like even like with some like conscious rappers like Trey Mission and all that, and like Raz Fresco, I feel like it kind of shifted when people expected more of that like realness and all that too, because they want to see, are you really like about it and all that too. And I think like it has been discussed like all over and all that too, because if you like, you know, talk about like, hey, like I'm a driller, this, that, do, I'm smoking on this, I'm smoking on that, you know, people want to prove it, like, hey, do this drill, or hey, if you're not doing that, you know, you're not about that life. And then usually if you're not about that life, you know, you get made fun of. But if you do like kind of do that, and you know, you do pay the consequences for that, then you know, you get clowned out as well too. So it's a lose-lose like situation from there and all that, you know. So
I feel like not only do they get clowns, but for the people who do cap about that life and they don't actually live that life, I feel like not only are they getting clowned, but they're putting their life at risk. Honestly,
Yeah.
like think about it. There's so many people out there who rap about that stuff. They don't live it and they know it, and they're putting their life at risk without them even knowing. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's such a bad thing. It's a sad thing to see. But again, like if I have one piece of advice for any artists out there who are doing it, and I'm not gonna call them out because again, I don't know one personally, but I have seen it on social media and in terms of shit that's been happening. Like, yo, just don't rap about stuff that you don't do. Like, you know what I mean? If you're not about that life, you're not about that life. It's okay. You know what I mean? It ain't like, you know,
yeah,
there's nothing wrong with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just don't put your life at risk like that, because street mans are street mans, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they know what it is. And for people who are not, just don't get involved with that, because again, it's like you're playing with your life for real.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And it's not cool, man. Like,
yeah.
You know?
I'm just into, and I know like since you have like the EP out right now and all that, do you have like any other plans like in promoting the EP and all that, and anything else like for the rest of the year in terms of like any other like content or creative projects and so forth and all that?
You know what? As of right now, I'm promoting my EP as much as I can in podcasts like these, social media, stuff like that, even like shows. If I end up getting one down for till the end of the year, I want to promote this EP as much as I can from till the end of this year. What I could say is one more single I am gonna drop till the end of this year. I'm gonna be dropping a Christmas single, and I've been dropping that the last 2 years. I'm saying it's just my routine nowadays, and there's no artists who do that. No artists that I know in the city that do that stuff and drop a Christmas track every Christmas every year. Nobody's done that. I don't know one personally. And if you do know one, let me know. You know what I mean? It's dope.
Man.
But again, I do that. That's my routine, and I'm gonna be dropping that this year, before the holidays hit. And in terms of dropping more after that, probably not. I'm gonna start off fresh next year. Probably have a new sound. You know what I'm saying? And I just want my supporters out there who are listening right now, I want you guys to really stay tuned for it, honestly, because I got some really good stuff coming up, and I think honestly, of how things are going right now, If it keeps going the way it is, I think maybe even an album project.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, but I'm not gonna say I'm dropping one, but again, it could happen. You know what I mean?
Man.
I didn't announce I was gonna drop this EP this year until I did, and then people were shocked.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Do you know if there's gonna be like a merch line for the EP or like even for the Christmas stuff and all that?
I wouldn't say the Christmas stuff, not this year anyway, but for the EP, yeah, for sure.
Shoot.
I got merch on the works right now, and again, stay tuned for that. And yo, just grab yourself some sauce. You know what I mean? Like some drip.
man.
Dress up, man.
Yeah, I mean it's getting cold right now, so like getting a hoodie or getting a toque, like it's all that matters, you know.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Yeah, man.
Exactly.
And do you have any like closing remarks you'd like to say right now?
You know what? I would say shout out to everybody who are streaming my music right now, who's streaming the EP. Shout out to everybody who has been watching every single music video I've been dropping this year, last year, whatever. And shout out to the people who's been rocking me since day one. I'm saying shout out to my team. Shout out to the guys who are always with me in the studio, working with me, helping me out, especially the guys who helped me doing this, start creating this EP. Shout out to those guys because without them, it wouldn't come out the way that it did. Again, shout out to Cruz, shout out to Mezke, shout out to my dog Kaden. And yo, again, just stay tuned for new music. And all I gotta say is I'm gonna be surprising a few people out there. I'm saying so.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for sure. So you can follow me on Instagram at official.soares. You can find me on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, Soares, SOARES. You can find me on all streaming platforms. And again, if you never heard about me, you heard about me today. So go stream that shit up. And yo, just let me know. Give me some feedback.
All right, man. You know, Soares, it's been like a pleasure like having you back on and all that.
Appreciate
you know,
it,
dope facts, you know, dope discussions and all that, and just kind of worked out from there and all that. And we'll definitely have like more soon and all that.
Nah,
you know?
100%, man. Yo, it's the second time. Who knows? Could be more.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yo, this is Josh, also known as Yashu. TLOY Talks, episode 57. You know,
Yeah,
we're close by
yeah.
to 60 and all that. So, you know, definitely stay tuned for more content and for everything else too, you know. We got some like interesting stuff going on the way. So, like, definitely tune in on all platforms, you know, as mentioned before too. And, you know, this is episode 57, you know, with Soares and all that. Soares, official.soares and all that for people tapping in on IG and everything else too. You could like find that everywhere else too. And, you know, this is TLOY Talks. Josh, also known as Yashu, with Soares, you know, signing off, you know.
Yes, sir.